Welcome to Indie Music Podcast, episode 318, the Silver Fox episode. Indie Music Podcast now has a Patreon at patreon.com/indie_musiccast. And we invite you to become a member for exclusive benefits. For next to nothing per month, you can get members only podcast, video, early access to upcoming episodes, merch, and more. This morning, Matt and I get together for coffee and talk about the times when we had to redo others' work, being a good social Samaritan, and expanding your social beyond your own specific focus. Enjoy the show.
Good morning, Doug.
Hey, good morning.
Hey, you're looking pretty fly today. Your hair is...
I decided I was going to position myself not looking at the monitor. So I have no idea what I'm looking like.
Oh, well, you're you're looking like a fine gray fox, my friend.
Oh, right on.
Silver fox.
I'm hoping it just goes completely silver. That'd be kind of cool.
Oh my God, foxes. So I came home from work the other day.
Foxes.
And there was like a wildlife party in my backyard. There was squirrels playing on the fence. And I'm like, okay, you knuckleheads. They're always playing on the fence. And then a few minutes go by and I'm out here in the shred, working. And I hear like weirder noises. And I look out and the squirrels have been replaced by a California gray fox who has jumped up on the fence. And I took a couple of pictures of him and he starts looking at me like, oh, hey, there's a person in there. I'm like, hey, there's a fox out there. And so I filmed him for a second and then he ran after the squirrels. And then for the next half hour, the squirrels were just kind of taunting him from the tree, making weird noises. It was quite a scene.
That's pretty cool. You know, we've got a lot of wildlife around us too. And we do see fox and gray heron, which is really cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Growing up here, we never saw gray heron ever.
Oh.
And coyote, we see them occasionally. And I have seen a deer, and we have turtles.
Turtles. Oh, turtles. Okay. We have lots of deer. We have a flock or two of wild turkeys roaming around the city.
Oh wow.
It's just I've never seen a fox in this area, let alone in my backyard. It was just
now what
unusual.
Is up with the turkeys in town? Because we've got like a flock of turkeys like that walks around town here too. What's going on with turkeys?
What's going on with turkeys? I don't know, but I know there's at least one flock, and they live on the other part of town, and I used to occasionally encounter them on my way to the bus stop where I used to catch the bus, and they would cross the street over there, and sometimes you'd have to wait for them to cross the street. One time there's unlike some tribes, there's multiple toms, and these toms are very, Ben Franklin once wanted the turkey to be the national bird. Anyway, these toms are very protective and aggressive, and they're really big. And I was like waiting for them to cross the street, and I was getting impatient, and I'm like, I don't think I honked or anything, but they like turned and looked at me, and they like got all like they're like going to challenge my car, like they want to challenge my car to a fight. And I'm like, dude, just cross the street so I get to the bus. I want to miss the bus. It was funny.
We got the same thing with geese here. So
oh yeah, geese can be, especially Canadian geese. They can be real. They can be something. They fly right over our house on their way to the lake. They're noisy, but yeah, it's cool. Wildlife is cool.
Yeah.
And that all came from your hair. Okay. Hey, your studio is looking nice too. I see you got some I don't know if those are real plants or fake plants or a combination of both, but
it's a combination of both. Again, I'm actually going to go back out and look for some more. I want to get a taller one over there because I have a taller one over there, which is outside of the shot here. But I'm kind of into symmetry. Maybe to my own fault. I don't know. It's an OCD thing.
Well, yeah, but in your case, you want to keep your room measurements as pristine as possible.
That's right? True, and I do believe that these plants offer some diffusion.
Yeah.
And that definitely, there's no absorption or anything like that involved.
Right.
But I do believe that a little bit of foliage around can help with breaking up sound waves and stuff like that. So it can't hurt anything for sure.
No, I agree, especially since you're using DSP to help correct your curves.
Yeah, actually, I've got DSP on here, but I don't actually have any correction on them. When I replaced the monitors, and then I got these two panels behind the monitors, I didn't need correction anymore. I still have a little bit of comb filtering off the ceiling, and I got a plan for that.
Oh, right, you were getting some new clouds.
Well, I was thinking about that, but then I saw we're coming off of two really cool interviews here, and the interview with Recording Den.
With
the ceiling in their control room,
right,
and the way they draped, I thought,
tapestries,
that kind of tapestry kind of thing, although it's not like really effective for absorption. If I use the right materials, I could drape something and have it look like decorative,
right,
and also functional. So I might try that, because just with some bolts of material.
Yeah, that could be it. I mean, you could easily go to the fabric store and get something in the clearance section that might look nice for your room,
and some
a cheap way to
some rare earth magnets and some washers and screws, and screw it to the ceiling, and then just take magnets and blouse the thing up on the ceiling. So I thought, wow, that's super easy. It would probably install the whole ceiling in the time it'd take to install one cloud panel. So
yeah, right.
Because it's really kind of a pain in the butt to install the clouds. But anyway, thank you. The main thing was just for atmosphere, just to kind of decorate the room, feel a little bit better being in here. It
does.
So
I can see that it has a nicer vibe.
Yeah.
Now you just need a beanbag chair.
Beanbag. I want to. What I really want is that I want a hand chair.
Like
I've wanted one of those since I was a kid. Yeah. but I think a hand chair and a beanbag would go really good together. So
I think so too. Well, speaking of correction, I think that was going to be our topic for today.
Somewhat, because I was thinking, how you're always spending time fixing my audio.
I wonder what you were going to say there.
I was going to ask if you had ever had a chance, other than me, to where you were asked to fix someone else's work.
Well, I do a lot of mixing for indie artists who record themselves.
Yeah.
And they all have varying degrees of either ability to record themselves, or varying types of challenges, perhaps is a good word to say, when recording, based on their experience, their room, their equipment setup. And I think while it's generally, well, maybe I shouldn't make sweeping statements, but with independent and self-recording artists, there always seem to be some challenges.
That's a sweeping statement.
I know. From my perspective, there are often challenges in the recordings themselves that need to be addressed, whether it's room noise or equipment hum or artifacts, or very frequently it's like bad edits, like clicks where waveforms don't match up in an edit and they weren't cross-faded properly, or clicks at the end of the end. Some of those are really easy to deal with. Microphone bleed, for instance. One of the clients I've worked with on and off has a singer who likes her headphones turned up really loud, and so there's a lot of bleed in her vocal recordings. And so I basically mute everything that's not actually her voice. And then sometimes there's artifacts in the voice, and I'm starting to use Isotope RX more and more. I'm getting more comfortable with that tool, which is a tricky tool to use. It's a very different interface than any other software I have, and even any other isotope software that I have. But I'm getting used to it because it's really good at taking artifacts, like using AI to take artifacts out of waveforms. You select, like, it's kind of like Photoshop's. It's like Photoshop for audio. That Band-Aid tool in Photoshop where you can just like, it interpolates from surrounding pixels and like we'll take like a blemish out of a photograph or something.
Oh, right.
It's like that, but for audio. So once you learn how to use it, you can get really surgical with it. I don't like having to do that, but I like having the ability to do that, if you know what I mean.
Right.
Like it should, in theory, it should come to me without these artifacts and clicks and pops and stuff that I have to fix, but that's part of the job, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting that you mentioned that, because actually I wouldn't have actually said that to begin with in this conversation, but that's kind of a matter of course. I mean, every time, two of the most common things that I do, and it's just actually, it's part of my process now, is correct phase rotation imbalance.
Oh yeah.
And also to correct artifacts. There's always something. If you listen for it, there'll be clicks, or there's things, it could be edits like you talked about. Those are I don't know if I'd necessarily say that that's ubiquitous with independent artists. I think I hear that type of thing out of studios and things like that as well.
Oh, interesting.
But it happens, and sometimes it's very subtle. But that's my job, is to really listen for the subtle stuff. So
yeah.
I had been thinking about if you'd ever been contacted. So I've been contacted before, and this wasn't to like repair someone's work, but it was to like start over and do it because it didn't work out with a previous engineer. And so I've had that type of thing happen before. I've never actually, and I probably wouldn't ever work with someone else's master.
Right.
I would just let's go back to the mix, unless it was like, can you fix this click or this phase issue or something like that? That's not really in a mastering session. That's more out in RX or something like that. In which case, I'd probably do that, no problem. But if it came down to like balancing and doing any audio processing, then I would not start with someone else's work. I'd go back to the pre-master mix and work from that point forward again.
Yeah, ideally, unless they didn't have access to it or they lost it or something and it just wasn't possible.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, but even in remasters, you're going to be working with normally the original audio or or a copy of the original recordings.
Right.
It may not be the actual master, but it might be a copy of it, the master recording, I mean. But I mean, there's a lot of limitations of mastering over a master, that right. Someone else, because of things that they've applied on their mix bus and things like that, like limiting and such, which really reduces my ability to manage dynamics the way that I would like to.
Right. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I think that I've had somebody come in and say, hey, can you remix this? We're doing something different with it, or we weren't happy with a previous mix job, and we're switching mixers, so can you do it? But that's really rare for me. Although it's almost a matter of course that somebody tries to mix it themselves and then says, you know what, this is too difficult, or I'm not getting it where I want to get it, and then come to me and say,
no, there is that.
You just take it.
Yeah, and so they just send you all the stems and everything. And you're probably not working from their mix at that point. That would be kind of similar.
No, but I use it as a reference to tell me what they think is important, or what their vision is kind of heading towards.
Or in that case, what not to do.
Or what not to do. Right. Yeah. It's I know correction can refer to a lot of different things. But switching, not switching clients, but switching who you're using for something, and say, you know what, this wasn't going the direction I wanted it to. Can you give it a shot? is I think what I thought that you originally meant.
You think you thought what I thought?
Don't do that. It's too early in the morning for that. Yeah. Well, we did have that situation where
just an aside here. I think I'm becoming more like Matt.
What does that mean?
I mean, I started wearing shirts over
I noticed
t-shirts.
That. I was looking at that when you were talking. I'm like, wait a minute, you're wearing a band shirt underneath what's going on here? Are you emulating me here? Boston.
I really didn't expect you to wear a band shirt under.
You're giving me more than a feeling, man.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I'm sporting Black Cobra today.
Oh, okay. I'm going classic with my gray, so.
Bay Area black metal duo.
Yeah, the hair thing. Let's get that sorted out. Gotta look presentable for mine out to look like audience, yours. So is that better? No. Oh well. That hair don't care, man. I didn't feel like putting it in a ponytail.
No, we did have that situation recently where a friend of mine who's got an album he's almost done with, or actually the music's done. He's working on the album art, and he had a issue with his designer that he'd worked with previously that for some reason wasn't able to do something in Photoshop that seemed pretty basic, and they went back and forth till he kind of came to me and said, do you know anybody else who can take this over and run with it? And that's when I asked you, remember?
Oh yeah.
I think that's working out. I asked them to take me out of the loop because he was CCing me on every email. I'm like, it's okay to leave me out of the loop until you have more information.
Did I get contacted on that?
I don't know, but they hit it off. The person you recommended, and he hit it off.
Okay, I understand the other direction. Yep, right on.
Yeah, so that's another issue of somebody coming in to take over and correct somebody else's work, and I kind of thought that was a jumping off point, but.
Oh, right on. Yeah, I thought that was for someone you were working with, but that was nice that you referred a referral. It's kind of like a regifter.
Yeah. Well, we both did recently reread The Go-Giver.
Yeah, what an awesome book, man.
That's a great book.
It is. I'm gonna read it again. I had tears in my eyes at the end, man.
I know, it's such a good book. I reread it if not every year, at least every other year.
I'm just like the 5 laws. I got to get a poster of the 5 laws and put it on the wall. So
yeah. And even though it's a parable, you can totally see how it's how it plays out in real life.
Sure.
If you do things.
Sure.
On the
I don't disagree with any of the any of the tenets that are in that book. I think each one of them is an excellent example of not just business, but in your relationships with other people and stuff.
Yeah, it really is about just like forming good relationships and fostering those relationships and how that enhances everybody's life.
Yeah, and like a referral and things like that. I mean, that's it's a good thing to try and help other people out, and that's one way that you can referrals, or for just anybody sitting around scrolling around on their phone on Instagram, you see a friend and a friend's business post, share it. You certainly don't have to send them money or anything, but you can let other people know about it. There's lots of things that people can do that don't, especially like all your Facebook friends and family, trying to see if someone would please share.
Yeah, signal boosting your friends and acquaintances is free.
Yeah,
and why not? It's doubling the size of their potential audience.
Yeah, because the whole network thing is it's imperative. It's like lifeblood of any small business. Is to get the word out.
Well, not only that, and I was saying this to somebody the other day, is that you don't really know who's paying attention. Like, I'm on Twitter constantly, right? So, and I have a lot of followers, but I only 12-step program. I interact with a circle of very close people, and then there's like a little bit wider people, but then there's like I don't even know the rest of them. But once in a while, somebody will respond to something that I posted, and I'm like, oh, people really are like occasionally paying attention, and you don't even think about it.
Yeah.
And so you don't really know who's kind of like lurking out there but not interacting. um I'm always kind of taken aback when somebody that I've never talked to, or somebody I didn't know was following me, or somebody that I've never interacted with before, just kind of randomly says something to something random that I said. I'm like, oh, somebody is, you are paying attention, or oh, that post landed with somebody.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, you just kind of feel like you're talking to the wind sometimes. But
Well, it's true. I do things and get zero response. And, sometimes you kind of feel like, wow, I thought that was important, or, I had weight that I
right.
emphasized into that. And I guess no one else felt the same way about that as I, but I don't think that's necessarily the case. That's just what I feel.
Right.
And, and that was my perspective at that moment, because like you said, I don't think you have a real touch on who's actually paying attention. It's just that they're not responding,
Yeah. It's funny how sometimes you say something and you think it's going to land, right? You expect it to have some kind of ripples in the pond, but very often those ripples are invisible.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting that way. But yeah, the just trying to help broadcast for others that are your friends, or that their accounts that you dig or whatever like that. Those are always good things to do, as far as helping increase your network, as well as
Right.
because people who see your share, who are of like interest of what you shared, are then kind of interested in what you're doing, because you were just sharing content that they're interested in. So
That's almost as convoluted as the thing I said a minute ago.
and it just rolls. And then, as Matt said, you develop a kind of a wider audience. And I agree with that.
Oh, I have something else on that, which is, it's sometimes you get into like an echo chamber mode, where you're following and interacting with people who either do the same thing as you, or who they're in your like client circle, or they're just kind of like of like mind, or in the same industry. I feel like lately I've been participating more in other like online chats and groups that are mostly made up of people that are not in the music industry. And that's just because they're like, entrepreneurs and small business people. And what's a weird side thing that has happened from that is that they're in like, they're like freelance writers or something, and they have among them, because there's so many of them, and because they have so many clients and so many different people that they know, speaking of outreach, they will go, oh, I don't do that, but you know what, I know somebody who does do that. And they're like, hey, this guy does audio stuff. And I'm getting referrals now from writers
Yeah.
for voiceover and voiceover production, from writers, because they're like, oh, I don't do that, but I know someone who does. And it's strictly because I was, interacting with them for a completely different reason, but now we're part of each other's circle. And now I can go, oh yeah, you know what, I know some copywriters or whatever. So it's interesting that way too, when your reach starts to get outside of your normal area of expertise.
Yeah. I've had exactly the same experience with photographers.
Oh yeah.
And still photography, and not videography.
Mm-hmm.
And photographers, you know who you are. You are awesome, because you're always hanging out. You're involved in the stuff that I'm posting, and liking. And I tell you what, more than any other area of any of my followers, it's the photographers who are into it, and I'm into their stuff too. Because it's I like that visual thing. And great composition of photography and things, which I don't possess the skills, but I appreciate it. I would be poised to be able to make a referral for photography. I'm not a photographer, and I think the same holds true. So if you find that there's other interests outside of music that you have, I think it's okay to follow those interests through your business account. There's nothing that says you have to pigeonhole your social media into just what it is that you do.
Right.
I'm into business development. I think that's cool. So I follow business development people. I'm into photography, as I said, but I do like studio gear. I follow way too much studio gear stuff,
So do I.
you know
I'm not buying any of it, but I like to look at it.
that's all gear sales. It's not music production, it's music
Right.
gear. So it's related but a little different.
Mm.
And and then there's just others that are friends or family, or there's accounts that they're musicians, but they really just share like personal stuff.
Yeah.
We're on a little vacation, or we're out shopping or whatever. There's that thing. But I think it's good to be involved with people as they are, and because they take an interest in people for their personal things as well as businesses for their area of focus. And
yeah, that's interesting you say that about, because I'm always kind of going back and forth about what I should be sharing on my Mojo's Army Instagram. I tend to keep it like a mix of music related stuff, like books I'm reading, like food I'm cooking, and just like general behind the scenes of my life kind of stuff is kind of how I position it. And you can like it or not like it, but I met some interesting people on there. I never did expect it to be interactive, which is kind of funny. But then on my Ragged Birds Instagram, I try to keep it strictly music, just because otherwise it would just be the same as the other one, and why would I have to?
Try and keep it primary purpose, I guess. Like as far as the content that I create, it's primary purpose. As far as the content that I interact with of others, that's all over the place.
Right.
So I'm so, as posting as my business account in a comment or something, a reply on someone else's, it may not necessarily be related to music production at all, or audio production. Or it may be like about music, performance, or
Sure.
it might be something, an offshoot of audio, and in some aspect of creating audio. But
yeah. So in other words, I think it's good to have a primary focus and maybe a primary goal or strategy with posting. But it's definitely good to branch out, and it can only help. The more you branch out and interact with people from different, because musicians, they need videographers, photographers, designers, publishing, venue. Just there's so many things that are in the sphere of a musician's career and orbit that it never hurts to have contacts and connections to people in all of those different industries, and be able to refer them to each other if need be, even if it serves you in no other way than just you feel good for helping somebody. I think that only makes everything better,
which is the best reason to do it,
right? I agree with that.
Well,
we started one place, we ended someplace else.
How do I put this stuff together into like a sentence that introduces the show? This kills me.
I know. I'm always, but you do such a good job. It's a challenge. It's your weekly challenge.
Don't make me go back and watch this video so I can figure out the intro.
And I know that you challenge yourself to do it like right after we hang up, so that you're like, okay, I'm going to forget if I wait.
Yeah, because I don't want to have to like change clothes back into what I'm wearing now tomorrow. So
right.
Which that cracks me up.
Oh, like they do on the British baking show. My wife pointed that out one time, because they do their challenges, right? They have challenges 1, 2, 3, but they're always wearing the same clothes for continuity. But she's like, these people are sequestered. They can't go anywhere. They're on this land, and they basically have to come back the following day with their same clothes regardless of the weather. They must launder them, because sometimes it's like, how humid it gets in England. And now I can't stop thinking about that. Every time I watch the show, it's like these people have been wearing the same clothes all weekend.
Yeah. I was watching a series with my wife last night, and I have maybe I'm odd for like noticing these things, but they're in the kitchen. It's evening time. Okay. Yeah. and evening, not late night, it's dark outside, and maybe it's somewhere between 7 and 10 p.m., based on someone just got off work and stuff like that. And one of the characters, part of what she was doing, she grabbed her phone and looked at it, and I could just make out her phone said 1 a.m. And I was like, did you see that? Her phone says 1 a.m. That's got to be a prop phone, or they're on a set, but it looks like it's dark outside, but it's actually 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and why are we running out of time?
I don't know. I just saw that pop up.
Zoom.
What are you doing?
Really?
There's only two of us.
Zoom is saying, hey, you guys, will you wrap this up?
Yeah, even Zoom is bored. I got to tell you,
you guys are killing me.
Continuity errors bug me too. When somebody is saying something like this, and then they cut away, and they come back, and their collar's like this, and then they cut away, and they come back, and their collar's like this again. You're like, dude, just fix that stuff. You can't fix that in post. Just make sure that the purse strap is on the same arm each time you have a take. It's like, come on. Anyway. Stupid stuff.
I'm definitely going to mention in the intro that Matt made fun of my hair going gray. And it's going to take me the afternoon. I'm going to have to go talk to my wife about this, I think.
You have to go to therapy
now. When your friends start making fun of the way you look, what kind of
I said you look fly. That is what I said. You have to go back and listen. Said you look like a silver fox.
You
just wanted to hear it again. You just
I think I've got a new nickname. What do you think, Matt and the Silver Fox? That work?
Sounds like a sitcom.
Yeah, it does. You guys think we're funny? I don't know. We think we're funny, and that's all that damn matters. So
you got it.
All right, man. Ooh, did I just clip?
I don't know.
I got right on the microphone.
I'll fix it in post.
I'm not even. Right, I'm not pointing at the microphone today, so this is kind of an experiment because I didn't want to face that direction.
The sound is good. The sound
is it?
Yeah.
So I just love this mic. And okay.
I like that it's off to the side, not blocking your cool shirt like mine is.
Microphone users groups, is another place, like photographers.
Yeah.
People who are interested in microphones for videography and stuff like that. But it was mostly about the microphones for video. And that has been a really good group. I don't know anything about it. I got in because it was this microphone, but a cool group of people, and real focused about capturing audio in the video medium, which was I thought interesting because I don't really work with that terribly too much. So it's been fun to learn about.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
I had an inquiry about that the other day. It hasn't panned out yet. Speaking of microphones, I'm thinking just for fun and just to use them, I may start just every Saturday for a while, like switching microphones. So I go through my mic locker. And today I'm using the
I think what we ought to do is let's play. I want to do a multi-mic recording.
Oh,
and have different panning, and have like a center mic and a couple stereo condensers, and then I could, something like that. Maybe have 4 channels going at once.
Okay.
You want to do something like that?
I only have 2 channels on my input box.
Well, I would just send you 4 tracks.
For you. For me. I mean, for me.
Oh, so you can only record.
I can only record 2 different mics.
2 at once. Okay. Yeah, I can record 8. So.
Well, you want to take up my entire weekend with post production? What the hell?
How many mic? I think I got 8 microphones. We could do
do not do that.
Let's do like an immersive, 7.1
Dolby Atmos.
Dolby Atmos.
I don't have
Matt,
time
who
for
wants
that.
to hear Matt and Doug in Dolby Atmos surround?
Oh, what
Not
a
me.
waste of time that would be.
Here you go, Matt. I need you to mix 8 tracks of me saying, all identical and avoid phase problems.
Mute.
There you go. Yeah. You send back one channel or a stereo track, with a little bit of panning.
Exactly.
There you go. Here's how it turned out.
Here it is. It turned out great. I muted 7 of them. All right.
Well, I guess I could mix them down into 2 channels, but
that would work.
And then send those to you. I might set up like a little 3 mic set.
Just warn me. Just warn me when you're gonna do that.
I'm doing it next week.
Do whatever you want.
I'm gonna I'm gonna do a couple small diaphragm condensers for kind of a stereo and this mic and see what happens.
Okay.
Kind of curious. It's probably not going to be like any different.
Yeah. Well, next week I'm gonna bust out. I have a vintage AKG.
Well, can we do the podcast in stereo?
I mean, it's
because we're always mono, right?
But, well, no, I bounce it to a stereo file in the end.
Oh, okay. So, guess we can then.
Yeah.
All right.
We could even have one person talking on one side, one on the other side. I don't know why I'd want to do that, but we could do that.
There's nothing good that could come of that.
No, I agree. I did it once. I mean, that's how I do our editing. It saves me time because I put one on one side and one on the other, and that way I can hear like any stuff that's in between.
Yeah. So what side do you usually put me on?
Like if somebody's clearing their throat, it doesn't matter. If somebody's clearing their throat, I know which side, which file to edit.
Well, I'm just wondering which ear you're going to go hard of hearing in first. So.
Both of them.
All right.
Enjoy the rest of your day, man. Have fun coming up with a summary for this one.
Yeah. Hey, yeah, I'm just going to call it the thing.
The thing.
Episode 318.
The Gray Fox episode.
The Gray Fox episode. I'm doing it. I am doing it. So this is the Gray Fox episode.
All right.
All right.
Talk to you later. Thank you, everybody, for listening.
Right, thank you.
If you're still here, appreciate it.
If you're still here. And for those of you that aren't still here, we understand.